I was her plan B. Now I'm her ending.
I should have known something was wrong when Linda insisted on hosting dinner that Friday. My wife hadn't cooked a real meal in months, but suddenly she was all about entertaining her work friends at our place. I figured she wanted to show off the kitchen renovations I'd finished the week before. New backsplash, refinished cabinets, the works. All done with my own hands, naturally, because that's what blue-collar guys like me do. "Jack, can you fire up the grill?" Linda called from inside, her voice carrying that fake sweetness she used when she wanted something. I was already prepping the steaks, had been for the past hour while she fussed with her hair and makeup, like she was going to some fancy gala instead of feeding 3 women from the law office where she worked as a legal admin. Our neighborhood was quiet that evening, the kind of peaceful you get in small New England towns where everyone knows everyone else's business. Mrs. Bellamy next door was watering her flowers, giving me that knowing nod she always did. Probably wondering why we were having company on a Friday when most folks were settling in for the weekend. "Evening, Jack," she called over the fence. "Smells good over there." "Thanks, Mrs. B. Linda's got her work friends coming by." She nodded, but something in her expression made me pause, like she knew something I didn't. But that was Mrs. Bellamy, always acting like she had the inside scoop on everyone's life. The first car pulled up just as I was getting the coals to the right temperature. Sandra from Linda's office, followed by 2 other women I'd met maybe twice. They were dressed up, laughing loud enough to wake the dead, carrying bottles of wine like they were planning to make a night of it. "Jack!" Sandra called out, her voice already carrying that edge that comes after a few pre-dinner drinks. "How's our favorite handyman?" I forced a smile and waved. Linda appeared at the back door, looking like she'd stepped out of a magazine. Hair perfect, makeup flawless, wearing that blue dress I'd bought her for our anniversary last year. She kissed my cheek, but it felt cold, mechanical. "The girls are here," she said, stating the obvious. "Steak's almost ready? Give me 10 minutes. I watched as she practically floated back to her friends, transforming into this animated, bubbly version of herself that I rarely saw at home anymore. When it was just us, she was usually buried in her phone or complaining about work. But put her in front of an audience, and suddenly she was the life of the party. I could hear them through the kitchen window as I tended the grill. Typical office gossip at first, who was sleeping with whom, which lawyers were jerks, the usual complaints about their boss. But then the conversation shifted and I started picking up my name in their chatter. "And Jack's so handy around the house," Linda was saying, and I smiled despite myself. Maybe she did appreciate all the work I put into our home. "You're so lucky," Sandra replied. "My husband can barely change a light bulb." "Oh, I don't know about lucky," Linda's voice carried a tone I didn't recognize. "I mean, he's useful, I'll give him that. But sometimes I think about what could have been, you know?" The steaks sizzled on the grill, but I found myself leaning closer to the window. "What do you mean?" one of the other women asked. "Well, my ex, Derek from college, he just got promoted to partner at his firm in Boston, making serious money now. Sometimes I wonder what my life would have been like if I'd stuck with him instead of settling for..." She paused, and I could practically hear the shrug in her voice. My hand tightened on the grill tongs. "Settling for this? For me?" "But Jack seems like a good guy," Sandra said, though her tone suggested she was just being polite. "Oh, he is. He's reliable, predictable, like a golden retriever, Always there, always eager to please, but Derek had ambition. He was going places. Still is, apparently." The women laughed, and the sound felt like nails on a chalkboard. "Plus," Linda continued, her voice dropping to what she probably thought was a whisper, but carried clearly through the screen door, "Derek was better at other things too, if you know what I mean." The explosion of giggles that followed made my stomach turn. I stood there, spatula in hand, listening to my wife of 8 years tear me apart for the entertainment of her friends. "Linda, you're terrible," Sandra gasped between laughs. "I'm just being honest. Sometimes I lie in bed at night and think about what I gave up. Derek was passionate, exciting. He made me feel alive. Jack makes me feel safe, comfortable, like a favorite pair of old slippers." More laughter. I felt like I was going to be sick. "So why did you marry him?" another voice asked. "Because Derek wasn't ready to settle down, and Jack was there, He was so eager, so grateful that someone like me would even look at him. And I thought, well, maybe comfort is enough. Maybe I can learn to be happy with less." The steaks were burning. I could smell them charring, but I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. "But now Derek's divorced and making bank," Linda went on. He actually called me last month. Just to catch up, he said. We talked for 2 hours. 2 hours! When's the last time Jack and I talked for 2 hours about anything that wasn't house repairs or bills? Are you thinking about... Sandra's voice trailed off meaningfully. I don't know, maybe. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I'm 37, not dead. I deserve to be happy, right? I deserve passion instead of whatever this is. I turned off the grill and walked into the house. 4 faces turned toward me. Linda's flushed with wine and excitement, her friends curious and slightly embarrassed. They knew I'd heard something, but they didn't know how much. Steaks are done, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. I'm going to run to the hardware store before it closes. Need to pick up some things for tomorrow's project. But dinner, Linda started. You ladies enjoy. I'll grab something later. I walked out the front door, got in my truck, and drove. Not to the hardware store, but just around town, trying to process what I'd heard. 8 years of marriage, and I was just a consolation prize. A reliable golden retriever she'd settled for because her real love wasn't available. By the time I got home 2 hours later, Linda's friends were gone. She was in the kitchen, cleaning up, humming to herself like she didn't have a care in the world. Where did you go? She asked without looking up from the dishes. You missed dinner. Had some thinking to do. About what? I studied her face, looking for any sign of guilt or awareness of what she'd said. Nothing. She was completely oblivious to the fact that she'd just destroyed our marriage with her casual cruelty. Just work stuff, I said. I'm tired, going to bed. Okay. The girls had a great time, by the way. We should do this more often. I didn't answer. I went upstairs, lay down on our bed, and stared at the ceiling until dawn, listening to Linda's peaceful breathing beside me. She slept like a baby, probably dreaming about her ex and the life she thought she'd missed out on. But I was wide awake, planning. Saturday morning, Linda slept in while I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, looking around at everything I'd built. Not just the renovations, though I'd done plenty of those, but the life we'd created together, or that I thought we'd created together. The house had been my grandfather's, left to me when he died 5 years ago. I'd spent weekends and evenings fixing it up, making it into something Linda could be proud of. New floors, updated electrical, a bathroom renovation that took me 3 months of Saturdays. Every improvement was done with her in mind, trying to give her the kind of home she deserved. Apparently, I'd been wasting my time. Linda wandered downstairs around 10, wearing my old college t-shirt and pajama pants, her hair messy from sleep. She looked young and vulnerable, and for a moment, I almost forgot what I'd heard the night before. Almost. Morning, babe, she said, kissing the top of my head as she passed. Coffee smells good. Made a full pot. She poured herself a cup and sat across from me. So what's the project today? You mentioned something to the girls about needing hardware store supplies? I looked at her over my coffee mug. Actually, I was thinking we should talk. About what? About Derek. Her face went very still. What about Derek? You tell me. You spent 2 hours on the phone with him last month. The color drained from her cheeks, but she recovered quickly. It was just catching up with an old friend, Jack. Nothing more. Is that what you call it when you tell your friends you settled for me? When you compare me to him in bed? Now she went completely white. You were listening? I was grilling steaks 20 feet away, Linda. You weren't exactly whispering. She set down her coffee cup, her hands shaking slightly. Jack, You what? You didn't mean it? You were just showing off for your friends? Because that somehow makes it better? I'd had some wine, I was just talking. You were talking about how you settled for me. How I'm like a golden retriever. How your ex was better at everything, including love. Linda's eyes filled with tears, but I wasn't buying it. Not anymore. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it, Linda? Because it sounded pretty clear to me. You married me because Derek wasn't available, and now that he is, you're having second thoughts. That's not true, isn't it? You said you deserved to be happy. You said you deserved passion instead of whatever this is. So what is this, Linda? What are we? She was crying now, real tears streaming down her face. We're married, Jack. We love each other. Do we? Because last night it sounded like you love the idea of what I can provide, stability, comfort, a nice house, but you don't actually love me. That's not fair. I stood up, suddenly exhausted. You know what's not fair? Spending 8 years of my life with someone who thinks she's settled for me. Someone who lies in bed next to me and dreams about another man. Jack, please. I'm going out for a while. I need some space to think. Where are you going? Does it matter? I'm just your reliable golden retriever, right? I'll come home when I'm called. I left her crying at the kitchen table and drove to the hardware store. Not because I had a project, but because I needed to be somewhere normal, somewhere that made sense. The familiar smell of sawdust and metal, the organized aisles of tools and supplies. It was soothing in a way that home no longer was. "Morning, Jack," called out Pete from behind the counter. He was about my age, had taken over the store from his father a few years back. "What brings you in today?" "Need some new locks," I heard myself saying. "Deadbolts, doorknobs, the works. Renovation project? Something like that." Pete helped me pick out what I needed. High-quality locks, all keyed the same. As he rang me up, he chatted about his own home improvement projects, his wife's latest ideas for their kitchen. Normal married couple stuff. The kind of problems I'd thought Linda and I had. "You okay, Jack? You seem a little off today." "Just tired and long week." "I hear you. Give Linda my regards." "Sure thing." I drove home slowly, the bag of locks on the passenger seat. Linda's car was still in the driveway, but I could see her through the living room window, pacing and talking on her phone. Probably calling Sandra or one of her other friends to complain about our fight. Or maybe she was calling Derek. I sat in my truck for a long moment, looking at the house I had worked so hard to perfect. The new shutters I'd installed last fall. The front porch I'd rebuilt from scratch. The flower beds I maintained because Linda liked having something pretty to look at. All of it for someone who saw me as a consolation prize. My phone buzzed. A text from Linda. "Where are you? We need to talk." I typed back, "I'm running errands, be home later." Another buzz. "Jack, please come home. I'm sorry about last night. I didn't mean any of it." She didn't mean it, right? She didn't mean it when she told her friends she'd settled for me. Didn't mean it when she said her ex was better in bed. Didn't mean it when she wondered what her life would have been like if she'd made a different choice. I got out of the truck and went inside. Linda was waiting in the living room, her eyes red from crying. "Jack, thank God. I've been worried sick." "Have you?" "Of course I have." "Look, about last night." "Save it, Linda. I heard what I heard. I was drunk. I was showing off. You know how the girls get when we're all together? We say stupid things." "Stupid things. Is that what 8 years of marriage is to you? A stupid thing you said?" "No, that's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean?" "Because I've been thinking about it all morning, and I can't come up with any interpretation that doesn't end with you wishing you'd married someone else." She moved toward me, reaching out like she was going to touch my arm, but I stepped back. "Jack, I love you." "Do you, or do you love what I represent? Security, stability, a nice house, and someone to fix the leaky faucets?" "That's not, because if that's all this is, Linda, if I'm just a placeholder until something better comes along, then we need to be honest about it. You're not a placeholder. Then why did you tell your friends you settled for me?" She didn't have an answer for that. Or maybe she did, but she knew it would only make things worse. "I need some time to think," I said finally. "About us, about what I want." "What does that mean?" "It means I'm going to stay at my sister's place for a few days. Give us both some space to figure out what we really want." "Jack, no. Don't do this. We can work through this. Can we? Because right now, I don't even know who you are anymore." I went upstairs and packed a bag while Linda followed me around, alternately crying and trying to convince me to stay. But I was done listening. Done being the reliable golden retriever who was grateful for whatever scraps of affection she threw my way. "I'll call you in a few days," I said, shouldering my duffel bag. "Jack, please." "A few days, Linda. That's all I'm asking for." I drove to my sister Jess's apartment across town, my mind already working on what came next. Because this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Linda thought she'd settled for me. She thought her ex was better than me in every way. She was about to find out just how wrong she was. Jess lived in a converted warehouse downtown, the kind of trendy loft space that young professionals loved, and I usually found pretentious. But my sister had always marched to her own drummer. And at 34, she was doing well for herself as a bartender at one of the nicer places in town. She also had a talent for seeing through people's BS, which was exactly what I needed right now. "Let me get this straight," she said, handing me a beer and settling into the chair across from her couch. "Linda told her friends she settled for you, compared you to a golden retriever, and bragged about her ex being better in bed? That's the highlight reel, yeah. And you just packed up and left? What was I supposed to do? Pretend I didn't hear it?" Jess took a long pull from her beer, studying me with those sharp green eyes we'd both inherited from our mother. "You could have confronted her right then and there. made her own her words in front of her friends. I was too shocked, too angry. I needed time to think. And now that you've had time to think? I stared at the label on my beer bottle, picking at the corner with my thumbnail. Now I'm wondering how long she's felt this way. How many other conversations she's had about what a disappointment I am. Jack, no, I'm serious. 8 years, Jess. 8 years I've been ending myself to make her happy, to give her everything she wanted. And the whole time, she's been wishing she was with someone else. My phone had been buzzing constantly since I'd left the house. Texts from Linda, ranging from apologies to anger to pleading. I'd stopped reading them after the first dozen. What are you going to do? Jess asked. I don't know yet, but I'm not going back to being her consolation prize. Good, you deserve better than that. I stayed at Jess's place for 3 days, going to work and coming back to her couch, trying to figure out what I wanted my life to look like. Linda's texts became less frequent but more desperate. She was sorry. She loved me. She'd made a terrible mistake. Please come home so we could talk. On Wednesday evening, I was walking back to Jess's building when I saw them. Linda and a man I didn't recognize, sitting at a window table in the Italian place on Main Street. She was dressed up. The black dress I'd bought her for Christmas, her good jewelry, her hair done in that style she usually saved for special occasions. And she was laughing and leaning across the table toward him like they were sharing secrets. I ducked into the doorway of the shop next door and watched. The man was tall, well-dressed, probably mid-40s, handsome in that polished, professional way that screamed money and success. He had the kind of confidence that came from never having to worry about making rent or whether you could afford to take your wife somewhere nice for dinner. Derek. It had to be. As I watched, he reached across the table and took Linda's hand. She didn't pull away. Instead, she smiled, really smiled, in a way I hadn't seen in months, maybe years. My phone buzzed, a text from Linda. Missing you so much tonight, wish you were here. I looked up at the restaurant window. She was still holding Derek's hand, still smiling at him like he was the most fascinating man in the world. I took a picture, then I walked back to Jess's apartment and showed her the photo. Holy crap, she breathed. She's actually cheating on you? Looks like it. While she's texting you about missing you? Apparently. Jess stared at the photo for a long moment. What a piece of work. So what now? I thought about it. Linda wasn't just someone who'd said some hurtful things after too much wine. She was actively betraying our marriage, probably had been for weeks. All those late nights at work, all those times she'd been distant and distracted, it all made sense now. Now I stopped feeling guilty about what I heard Friday night, I said. And I start planning. Planning what? Linda thinks she's settled for me. She thinks Derek is better than me in every way. She wants passion and excitement instead of boring old reliable Jack. Okay, so I'm going to give her exactly what she wants. I'm going to show her what life looks like without her consolation prize holding her back. Jess raised an eyebrow. That sounds ominous. Not ominous, just educational. I spent the rest of the evening researching Derek online. It wasn't hard. Linda had mentioned his last name enough times over the years, and there was only one Derek Morrison who'd gone to our college and was now a partner at a Boston law firm. Successful, like Linda had said. Recently divorced, like she'd mentioned. And based on his social media presence, definitely the type who thought he was God's gift to women. He also had a very nice car, a BMW that probably cost more than I made in 2 years. And according to the restaurant's social media page, he and Linda had been there before. Multiple times, based on the photos I found. My wife wasn't just having an affair. She was flaunting it, taking him to places in our own town where people would see them together. The disrespect was breathtaking. I called in sick to work Thursday and drove to the restaurant at lunchtime. Sure enough, Derek's BMW was parked out front. I waited across the street until they came out, watching Linda kiss him goodbye like they were teenagers. Then I followed him to the motel on the edge of town. The Pine View Motor Lodge wasn't exactly the Ritz, but it was discreet and cheap. The kind of place you went when you didn't want to be seen. Derek went into room 237, and 20 minutes later, Linda's car pulled into the parking lot. I sat in my truck and watched her walk up to his door. She knocked twice, paused, then knocked once more. Some kind of signal they'd worked out. He opened the door, pulled her inside, and closed it behind them. I drove home. The house felt different somehow, smaller, shabbier, like seeing it through Linda's eyes had changed how I perceived it. But it was still mine. My grandfather's house, left to me free and clear. My renovations, my improvements, my work that had made it beautiful. Linda's things were scattered around like she'd never left. Her coffee cup from Saturday morning was still on the kitchen table. Her magazines were stacked on the coffee table. Her clothes were draped over the chair in our bedroom. Their bedroom, I corrected myself, because I wasn't sleeping there anymore. I started in the bedroom, packing Linda's clothes into garbage bags. Not carefully, just stuffing everything in without regard for wrinkles or damage. Dresses, shoes, jewelry, makeup, all of it went into black plastic bags. Then I moved to the bathroom, clearing out her toiletries and beauty products. The living room was next. Her books, her decorative pillows, the framed photos of us that now seemed like lies. It took me 3 hours to pack up 8 years of shared life. When I was done, there were 15 garbage bags lined up on the front porch, along with a handwritten sign, "Free stuff. Help yourself." Then I called a locksmith. "Need all the locks changed," I told him. "Today, if possible. Emergency situation? You could say that." He arrived at 4:30 and had the job done by 6. New deadbolts, new doorknobs, new garage door locks. I was the only one with keys. By 7 o'clock, half the bags on the porch were gone. Mrs. Bellamy had taken the decorative pillows and some of the books. A couple of college kids had grabbed most of the clothes. The rest would be gone by morning. This was a small town, and word traveled fast when there was free stuff to be had. I ordered a pizza, cracked open a beer, and waited. Linda's car pulled into the driveway at 8:15. I watched from the kitchen window as she got out, saw the remaining bags on the porch, and broke into a run. She tried her key first. When it didn't work, she started pounding on the door. "Jack! Jack, open this door! What the heck is going on?" I took another sip of beer and didn't answer. "Jack, I know you're in there. Open the door." The pounding got louder, more frantic. "My stuff! Jack, where is all my stuff? What did you do?" I walked to the front door but didn't open it. "Your stuff is where it belongs, Linda. With people who appreciate it." "What are you talking about?" "Jack, open this door right now." "I don't think so. This is my house too. Actually, it's not. It's my house. My grandfather's house that he left to me. You just lived here. You can't do this. You can't just throw me out." "I'm not throwing you out, Linda. You left, remember? You've been leaving for months, a little bit at a time. I just made it official." There was silence on the other side of the door. Then quieter. "Jack, please. Let me in so we can talk." "We can talk right here. The neighbors can hear." "Good. Let them hear. Let them know what kind of woman you really are." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I know about Derek, Linda. I know about the restaurant, the motel, all of it." Another silence, longer this time. "I can explain." "Can you? Can you explain how you've been screwing your ex while texting me about how much you miss me?" "It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. You've been cheating on me, probably since the first time you called, and you know what? I'm glad. Because now I don't have to feel guilty about what comes next." "What comes next?" I smiled, even though she couldn't see it. "You wanted passion and excitement instead of boring old me, right? You wanted to see what your life would be like without your consolation prize." "Jack." "Well, congratulations, Linda. You're about to find out." I walked away from the door, leaving her standing on the porch that was no longer hers. In front of the house, she'd never see the inside of again. The real fun was just getting started. Linda spent the night in her car. I know because I could see it from the bedroom window, my bedroom now, parked at the curb like she was hoping I'd change my mind and let her back in. Around 3 in the morning, she finally drove away, probably to Derek's motel room or maybe to Sandra's house. I didn't really care where she went. Friday morning, I called my lawyer. Jim Patterson had handled my grandfather's estate and a few other legal matters over the years. He was old school, the kind of attorney who still kept paper files and believed in handshake deals, but he knew his business. "Jack, good to hear from you. What can I do for you?" "I need to file for divorce, Jim, and I need it done right." "I'm sorry to hear that. You and Linda seemed happy." "Yeah, well, appearances can be deceiving. How quickly can we get the papers filed?" "Depends on the circumstances. Are we talking about irreconcilable differences, or is there more to it?" I told him about Friday night's dinner party, about Linda's comments to her friends, about catching her with Derek at the restaurant and motel. Jim listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes. "You have photos of them together?" "Several, and I can get more if needed." "That helps. In this state, adultery is still grounds for divorce, and it can affect the settlement, especially since the house is your separate property." "What does that mean?" "It means she has no claim to the house or any improvements you made to it with your own money. And given the adultery, she's unlikely to get much of anything else either. Good. Jack, I have to ask, are you sure you want to go this route? Divorce is expensive and emotionally draining. Sometimes couples counseling, she's been cheating on me with her ex-boyfriend while telling her friends she settled for me. I'm sure. Jim sighed. All right then. I'll have papers drawn up by Monday. You'll need to serve her, but given that she's no longer living in the marital home, that might be tricky. She works at Morrison, Klein & Associates downtown. You can serve her there. I'll take care of it. I spent the rest of Friday cleaning the house, getting rid of any remaining traces of Linda's presence. It was amazing how much space opened up when I removed all her clutter. The place actually felt bigger, cleaner, more like home. My phone rang around noon. Linda's number. Jack, please, we need to talk. Talk. Not like this, in person. Can I come over? No. Then can you meet me somewhere? Coffee, lunch, anything? Why would I do that? Because we're married. Because 8 years has to count for something. It did count for something, Linda. It counted for 8 years of me working my A off to make you happy while you dreamed about another man. That's not, you never what? Never told your friends I was a consolation prize? Never said Derek was better than me in bed? Never spent yesterday afternoon in a motel room with him? Silence. I thought so. Jack, I made a mistake. No, Linda. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk at the store. A mistake is double booking dinner plans. What you did was make a choice. Multiple choices. And now you get to live with the consequences. What consequences? You'll find out Monday. I hung up and turned off my phone. Saturday, I drove to the gym. I'd been a member at Murphy's Boxing Club for about 5 years, ever since I'd decided I needed a hobby that didn't involve home improvement. It was an old school place. Heavy bags, speed bags, a ring where the serious fighters sparred. The kind of gym where you earned respect with your work ethic, not your bank account. Al Murphy, the owner, was in his 50s, a former Golden Gloves champion who'd opened the gym when his fighting days ended. He was working the heavy bag when I walked in, his movements still crisp and powerful despite his age. Jack, haven't seen you all week. Everything okay? Been better, Al. Mind if I work out some frustration? That's what the bags are for. I wrapped my hands and started hitting. Jab, cross, hook. Basic combinations. But I put everything I had behind them. The satisfying thud of leather on leather, the burn in my shoulders and arms, the sweat dripping into my eyes. It was exactly what I needed. Want to talk about it? Al asked after I'd been at it for 20 minutes. I told him the whole story between rounds. Al listened, occasionally nodding or shaking his head. So she's been playing house with you while screwing around with her ex? That's about the size of it. And now she wants to work things out? Says she made a mistake. Al snorted. Mistake, right. You know what I tell the young fighters who come in here? Actions have consequences. You throw a lazy jab, you get countered. You drop your guard, you get knocked out. Life's the same way. Yeah. She made her choice, Jack. Multiple choices from what you're telling me. Now she gets to live with them. That's what I told her. Good. Don't let her guilt you into taking her back. Women like that, they'll keep pushing boundaries until you push back. I worked the bag for another hour, then hit the showers. When I came out, Al was waiting with 2 bottles of water. You know, he said, there's a fight next weekend at the community center. Local card and nothing fancy, but it draws a good crowd. You should come. Maybe I will. Bring some friends, make a night of it. I thought about that as I drove home. A night out in public showing everyone that I was doing just fine without Linda, that I wasn't sitting at home crying into my beer. Yeah, I like that idea. Sunday was quiet. I slept in, made a big breakfast, read the paper on the back deck. Normal Sunday morning stuff, except it felt different without Linda's constant chatter or complaints about work. Peaceful. Around noon, a car pulled into my driveway. Not Linda's car, a silver sedan I didn't recognize. A woman got out, someone I'd seen before but couldn't immediately place. She knocked on the front door and I opened it to find Sandra from Linda's office standing on my porch, looking uncomfortable. Hi, Jack. I'm sorry to bother you. Sandra, what can I do for you? Can we talk? About Linda? I almost said no, but curiosity got the better of me. Sure, what about her? She's staying with me right now and she's a mess. She says you locked her out, threw away all her stuff. I didn't throw it away. I gave it away. There's a difference. Sandra's face flushed. Jack, that's cruel. Is it? What would you call what she did to me? She made a mistake. Why does everyone keep calling it a mistake? She's been having an affair, Sandra. For weeks, maybe months. That's not a mistake, that's a betrayal. She loves you. No, she doesn't. She told you herself that she settled for me. That I'm like a golden retriever. That her ex is better than me in every way. Sandra had the grace to look ashamed. She was drunk. We all say things we don't mean when we're drunk. Do we? Because I've been drunk plenty of times, and I've never told anyone that my wife was a disappointment or that I wished I'd married someone else. Jack, you were there, Sandra. You laughed when she humiliated me and you encouraged her. So don't come to my door now and lecture me about being cruel. She's sorry. She wants to make things right. Too late for that. It's never too late if you really love someone. I looked at Sandra, really looked at her. Mid-30s, divorced, working a dead-end job, and living vicariously through her friend's drama. The kind of woman who thought love conquered all because she'd watched too many romantic comedies. You want to know what love looks like, Sandra? Love is working overtime to pay for your wife's dental work. Love is spending every weekend for 3 months renovating a bathroom because she doesn't like the old one. Love is listening to her complain about her job every night and offering solutions she never takes. Sandra shifted uncomfortably. Love is not telling your friends that your husband is a consolation prize. Love is not comparing him to your ex-boyfriend. And love is definitely not screwing said ex-boyfriend in a cheap motel while your husband thinks you're working late. She knows she messed up. She messed up when she married me in the first place, apparently. I'm just correcting her mistake. I started to close the door, but Sandra put her hand out to stop me. Jack, please. She has nowhere to go. She has Derek. I'm sure he'll take care of her. It's complicated. Is it? Because it seems pretty simple to me. She chose him over me. Now she gets to live with that choice. I closed the door and watched through the window as Sandra stood on my porch for a long moment, probably trying to think of some other argument. Finally, she gave up and drove away. An hour later, my phone rang. Linda again. Jack, Sandra came to see you. She did. She said you were cruel to her. I was honest with her. Maybe that's the same thing. This isn't you, Jack. You're not a cruel person. You're right. The old Jack wasn't cruel. The old Jack was a golden retriever who was grateful for whatever scraps of affection you threw his way. But that Jack is gone, Linda. You ended him Friday night. I didn't mean... Yes, you did. You meant every word. The only thing you didn't mean to do was get caught. That's not true. Prove it. What? Prove it's not true. Prove you didn't mean what you said. Cut off all contact with Derek, block his number, delete him from social media, never see him again. Silence. That's what I thought. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. You choose him or you choose me. But you don't get both. Jack, you've already made your choice, Linda. You made it weeks ago when you started sneaking around with him. Everything else is just noise. I hung up and turned off my phone again. Monday morning, I went to work early and threw myself into the job. I was a foreman for a construction company, and we had 3 projects running simultaneously. Keeping busy was easy, and the physical labor helped burn off some of the anger that was still simmering in my gut. Around 10, Jim Patterson called. Papers are filed, Jack. I had a process server deliver them to her office an hour ago. How did she take it? According to the server, not well. A lot of crying, some yelling. Her boss wasn't too happy about the drama. That's her problem. She's got 30 days to respond. In the meantime, you might want to think about changing your phone number. And maybe getting a security system for the house? You think she'll cause trouble? Scorned spouses sometimes do stupid things. Better safe than sorry. I spent my lunch break at the phone store, getting a new number. Then I stopped by the security company and arranged for cameras and an alarm system to be installed. By the time I got home that evening, Linda had been served, her friends knew about the divorce, and word was starting to spread around town. My phone, the new number, had 3 messages. One from Jess, asking if I was okay, one from Al at the gym, inviting me to grab a beer, and one from a number I didn't recognize. Jack, this is Derek Morrison. I think we need to talk. I smiled and deleted the message without calling back. Let him sweat for a while. We'd talk when I was ready, and I was nowhere near ready. Derek Morrison was exactly what I'd expected. Tall, polished, wearing a suit that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. He was waiting in the parking lot when I got to the gym Tuesday evening, leaning against his BMW like he owned the world. Jack Brennan, that's me. Derek Morrison, I think we need to talk. I shouldered my gym bag and looked him over. Handsome in that generic way that women seem to love, with perfect teeth and manicured nails. The kind of man who'd never worked with his hands or worried about making payroll. About what? About Linda. About this whole situation. What situation is that? Derek's confident smile flickered. Look, I know you're angry. Do you? But Linda and I, we have history. We were together long before she met you. Ancient history. She chose to marry me, remember? She made a mistake. There was that word again, mistake. Funny thing about mistakes, Derek. Usually when people make them, they try to fix them. They don't double down and make them worse. She was trying to fix things. That's why she called me in the first place. I set my gym bag down and took a step closer to him. Derek was taller than me, but he had that soft look of someone who spent his days behind a desk. I'd been swinging hammers and hauling lumber for 20 years. She called you to fix her marriage? That's an interesting approach. She was unhappy, Jack. She needed someone to talk to. And talking led to the Pineview Motel? Derek's face flushed. We didn't. Save it. I've got photos. His composure cracked completely. Look, I never meant for things to go this far. It just happened. Things like that don't just happen, Derek. People make choices. You chose to pursue a married woman. She chose to cheat on her husband. Now you both get to live with the consequences. But that's what I'm trying to tell you. Linda wants to work things out with you. She made a mistake, but she loves you. I laughed, and the sound made Derek take a step back. She loves me? Is that why she told her friends she settled for me? Is that why she said you were better than me in bed? She was drunk. She was honest. Probably the most honest she's been in years. Jack, listen. No, you listen. Linda made her choice. She chose you. Congratulations. She's all yours. That's not what she wants. Then she should have thought about that before she started screwing around. Derek ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair. This is ridiculous. You're being completely unreasonable. Am I? Let me ask you something, Derek. If Linda came to you tomorrow and said she wanted to leave me for you, would you take her? He hesitated just long enough to give me my answer. I thought so. You want to play house with my wife, but you don't want the responsibility that comes with it. You want all the fun with none of the commitment. That's not... Sure it is. You're 41 years old, recently divorced, making good money. If you wanted Linda, really wanted her, you'd have asked her to leave me months ago, but you didn't. You just wanted to have your fun on the side. Derek's face was getting redder. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? Tell me, Derek. Does Linda know you're here? Did you tell her you were coming to talk to me? His silence was answer enough. Right, because you know she'd be pissed if she found out. She thinks you're fighting for her, but really you're just trying to clean up your mess so it doesn't interfere with your comfortable life. That's not true, isn't it? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you got what you wanted from Linda. And now that things are getting complicated, you want to send her back to her boring husband so you can move on to the next woman. You're wrong. Am I? Then prove it. Marry her. Take her back to Boston with you. Give her the life she thinks she wants. Derek looked like I'd slapped him. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. But you won't do it, will you? Because deep down, you know the same thing I know. Linda isn't the woman you fell in love with in college. She's bitter, selfish, and willing to betray the people who love her when something better comes along. And if she'll do it to me, she'll do it to you. You're just I'm trying to what? Get my wife back. I don't want her back, Derek. You broke her. You bought her. She's your problem now. I picked up my gym bag and started walking toward the building. Derek called after me. Jack, wait. I turned around. Wait, what? She's been staying with her friend Sandra. She doesn't have anywhere else to go. So maybe you could, I don't know, maybe you could help her out. Just until she gets back on her feet. I stared at him for a long moment, trying to process what I was hearing. Let me get this straight. You want me to take care of the woman who cheated on me with you, so you don't have to deal with the inconvenience of her having nowhere to live? That's exactly what you're asking. You want me to be the reliable golden retriever again, cleaning up your mess, so you can walk away with clean hands. Here's what I think, Derek. I think you're a coward. I think you pursued a married woman because it was exciting and risk-free. And now that there are real consequences, you want someone else to deal with them. That's not fair. Fair. You want to talk about fair. Was it fair when Linda told her friends she settled for me? Was it fair when you took her to restaurants in my own town where everyone could see you together? Was it fair when you screwed my wife in a cheap motel while I was home wondering why she was working so late? Derek had no answer for that. Linda wanted passion and excitement instead of boring old me. Well, congratulations, she got it. Now she gets to figure out what comes next. And so do you. I walked into the gym and left Derek standing in the parking lot next to his overpriced car. Al was working the speed bag when I came in, his hands moving in a blur. Friend of yours? He asked without breaking rhythm. Linda's boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, whatever he is now. Looked like an intense conversation. He wanted me to take Linda back so he doesn't have to deal with her. Al stopped hitting the bag and turned to look at me. Seriously? Seriously? What did you tell him? I told him she was his problem now. Al grinned. Good man. You can't fix stupid, Jack, but you don't have to live with it either. I spent the next hour working out my frustration on the heavy bag, imagining Derek's face with every punch. By the time I was done, I felt better than I had in days. My phone rang as I was driving home. Jess. Hey, how are you holding up? Better than expected. Derek came to see me today. Linda's Derek? What did he want? To convince me to take Linda back. Are you kidding me? I told her about the conversation in the parking lot. Jess listened with growing incredulity. So let me get this straight, she said when I finished. This guy steals your wife, and then when she becomes inconvenient, he wants you to take her back? That's about the size of it. What a piece of work. Both of them. Yeah. So what's next? I don't know. The divorce papers are filed. Linda's got 30 days to respond. After that, it's just a matter of waiting for it to be final. And then I get on with my life. Good for you, Jack. You deserve better than what she put you through. After I hung up, I sat in my truck in the driveway, looking at the house that was finally, truly mine again. No more walking on eggshells, no more trying to anticipate Linda's moods, no more feeling like I wasn't good enough. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt free. My new phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Linda. Got your new number from Jess. Please call me. We need to talk. I deleted the message without responding. Some conversations were over before they started. 2 weeks later, Linda still hadn't responded to the divorce papers. According to Jim Patterson, that meant she was either going to contest the divorce or she was hoping I'd change my mind if she ignored the whole thing long enough. She was wrong on both counts. I'd settled into a routine that didn't include her. Work during the day, gym 3 nights a week, dinner with Jess on Sundays. The house stayed cleaner, the bills were lower, and I slept better than I had in years. The only disruption came from Linda's attempts to contact me. She'd gotten my new phone number from somewhere and had been sending increasingly desperate texts. I'd blocked her, but she kept creating new email accounts and social media profiles to reach out. The messages followed a predictable pattern: anger, bargaining, pleading, then back to anger. She was sorry. She loved me. Derek meant nothing to her. She'd made a terrible mistake. She wanted to come home. I deleted them all without responding. Friday night, I was at Murphy's gym when Al called me over to the office. Got a visitor, he said, nodding toward the front door. Linda was standing just inside the entrance, looking around nervously. She'd lost weight, and her clothes hung loose on her frame. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and she wasn't wearing makeup. She looked nothing like the polished woman who'd humiliated me at dinner 3 weeks ago. Jack, she said when she saw me, thank God. I've been trying to reach you. I know. We need to talk. No, we don't. Please, just 5 minutes. I looked around the gym. Everyone was pretending to mind their own business, but I could feel them watching. Small-town gossip traveled fast, and everyone knew about Linda and Derek by now. 5 minutes, I said. Outside. We walked out to the parking lot. Linda hugged herself against the evening chill. You look good, she said. Thanks. I've been staying with Sandra, but that's not working out. Her place is tiny, and she's got her own problems. Okay. I was wondering if maybe I could come home, just temporarily while we work things out. There's nothing to work out, Linda. I filed for divorce. You've got 2 weeks to respond. I'm not going to respond. I'm going to fight it. On what grounds? On the grounds that we're married and we love each other. I almost laughed. We're married, I'll give you that, but love... You don't love me, Linda. You told me so yourself. I was drunk, I was angry, I didn't mean any of it. Which part didn't you mean? The part where you said you settled for me? The part where you said Derek was better in bed? Or the part where you actually slept with him? She flinched like I'd hit her. I made a mistake. Stop calling it a mistake. Mistakes are accidents. What you did was make a choice. Multiple choices. I choose you now. Too late. It's not too late if we both want to make it work. But we don't both want to make it work. I don't want to work it out, Linda. I want to be divorced. Why? Because of Derek? That's over. I haven't seen him in 2 weeks. I know, he told me. Her face went white. You talked to Derek? He came to see me. Wanted me to take you back so he didn't have to deal with you anymore. That's not, he wouldn't. He would. And he did. Turns out Derek doesn't want the responsibility that comes with stealing someone's wife. He just wanted the fun parts. Linda started crying. Real tears this time, not the manipulative kind she'd used during our marriage when she wanted something. I lost everything, Jack. My marriage, my job. You lost your job? They said the drama was affecting the office environment. Serving me with divorce papers at work was the last straw. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate? That's all you have to say? I'm homeless, Jack. I have nowhere to go. What about your parents? They won't talk to me. They said I made my bed, now I have to lie in it. Smart people. This is my life we're talking about. No, Linda. This is the consequence of your choices. You wanted passion and excitement instead of boring old me. You got it. You wanted to see what life would be like without your consolation prize. Now you know. I was wrong. I was stupid and wrong, and I'm sorry. I believe you're sorry. Sorry you got caught, and sorry Derek doesn't want you. Sorry your friends won't support you anymore, but I don't think you're sorry about what you did. I think you're just sorry it didn't work out the way you planned. That's not true, isn't it? If Derek had asked you to leave me for him, would you have done it? She didn't answer, which was answer enough. I thought so. Jack, please, I'm begging you. I have nowhere else to turn. That's not my problem anymore. How can you be so cold? We were married for 8 years. And for how many of those 8 years were you wishing you'd married someone else? How many nights did you lie next to me and think about Derek? How many times did you compare me to him and find me lacking? It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. You said so yourself. You told your friends you settled for me. That I was like a golden retriever. That Derek was better than me in every way. I was drunk. You were honest. Probably the most honest you'd been in years. Linda's crying had turned into full-blown sobbing. A few people walking by turned to stare, but I didn't care anymore about making a scene. What do you want from me, Linda? You want me to say it's okay? That I forgive you? That we can go back to the way things were? Yes. Well, I can't do that, because it's not okay, and I don't forgive you, and we can never go back to the way things were. You ended that marriage the night you humiliated me in front of your friends. Derek just helped you bury the body. I'll do anything, Jack. Anything to make this right. There's nothing you can do. It's over. I started walking back toward the gym, but Linda grabbed my arm. Wait, what if I could prove to you that I've changed? That I really do love you? I looked down at her hand on my arm, then back at her face. How would you do that? I don't know, whatever you want. I'll sign a prenup, I'll go to counseling, Linda, stop. I'll do anything. You want to prove you love me? Yes. Then let me go. She stared at me, not understanding. If you really love me, if you really want what's best for me, then sign the divorce papers and let me move on with my life. Let me find someone who won't see me as a consolation prize. Someone who won't humiliate me in front of their friends. Someone who won't cheat on me the minute something better comes along. But you had your chance, Linda. 8 years of chances. You threw them all away for a few afternoons with your ex-boyfriend. Now it's my turn to be happy. I pulled my arm free and walked back into the gym, leaving Linda crying in the parking lot. Al was waiting by the door. You okay? Yeah, I'm good. She's not going to give up easy. Doesn't matter, it's over either way. If she contests the divorce, it'll just take longer and cost more money. But it's still over. Good for you, Jack. You deserve better. I worked out for another hour, then drove home to my quiet house. No drama, no tears, no desperate pleading, just peace. 3 days later, Jim Patterson called. She signed the papers, Jack. Divorce will be final in 60 days. Just like that? Just like that. She also waived any claim to alimony or property settlement. Looks like she finally got the message. Or Derek finally agreed to take her back. Either way, you're free. Free, I like the sound of that. That evening, I was grilling a steak on the back deck when my phone rang. Jess. Heard the good news? She said. How does it feel? Like I can breathe again. Good. You want to celebrate? I'm bartending tonight, but I get off at 11. Thanks, but I think I'll just stay in, enjoy the quiet. Fair enough. Hey, Jack. Yeah, I'm proud of you. A lot of guys would have taken her back. A lot of guys didn't hear what I heard, didn't see what I saw. Still, it takes guts to walk away from 8 years of marriage. It wasn't 8 years of marriage, Jess. It was 8 years of me trying to make someone happy who didn't want to be happy with me. After I hung up, I sat on the deck and watched the sun set over the neighborhood I'd called home for 5 years. Tomorrow I'd start thinking about what came next. Maybe travel, maybe dating, maybe just enjoying being single for a while. But tonight I was content to sit in the quiet and appreciate how good it felt to be free. My phone buzzed one last time, a text from Linda. I'm sorry for everything. I hope you find someone who deserves you. I read it twice, then deleted it. Some apologies come too late to matter, but this wasn't about her anymore. This was about me, and the life I was going to build without someone who saw me as second best. I finished my steak, cleaned up the kitchen, and went to bed in the house that was finally completely mine. For the first time in months, I slept through the night without waking up once.